Good morning. I'm just going to read the title and the blurb, and then I'll start talking some more. From my heart to yours. The One People's Public Trust is my title for today. And the blurb is, I was going to talk about this yesterday and shifted to something else before making that video. The same thing almost happened again today. What Heather has created in the One People's Public Trust is both powerful and enigmatic. Some say it is written in 5D language, making it confusing for those still thinking in the 3D paradigm. What it does, however, is that it lays the lawful foundation for all humans to reclaim their natural birthright as prodigal children returning home. It sets the stage for our ability to co-create a world of peace with prosperity for all. It is an important key to opening the door to the Aquarian age, and it is significant that it is brought to us by a lady lawyer, indicating the power and importance of the divine feminine. Goddess energy returns balance to the earth, the new earth. And I'm also including a link in this blurb for a TED Talk entitled Israel and Iran, a love story, told by Ronnie Idri, and I have that link because I will mention that in today's video, which is almost what I was going to end up switching over to. Anyway, the one world, the one people's public trust. I've listened to some interviews and commentaries. I've been to the page Removing the Shackles, the blog by Dee. I've read all sorts of entries in that blog, questions and answers given, confusion, clarity. I've gone through a whole bunch of stuff. I have not read all of the documents yet. There's about, I think, 5 UCCs perhaps. I didn't do an actual count. I probably should have. I think there's at least 5 different UCCs that were filed in which the people took back the Uniform Commercial Code that was usurped by the bankers and the heads of corporations and our governments that have been usurping rule and dominion over us and over the earth from the divine perspective to awaken us, but from the human perspective to enslave us. Now, the truth of the matter is, no one can ever be enslaved except by their own ignorance. I mean, I'm convinced that the only real mutual enemy that humanity has is its own ignorance. And that ignorance exists in the 1% as well as in the 99%. Because, quite frankly, we forgot. Quite frankly, we laid aside our birthright and surrendered our divine heritage when we became human, when we became sentient beings, perhaps. This whole creation was a devolution first, and that's devolving, as not devil as in Satan, but devolving as in we had to go down and discover the bottom before we could rise back up and enjoy the top, if you will, or the return. We've lived a long time as humans in masculine energy, a dominating force that some say is only 1% of the whole thing. It's the feminine that creates things. It's the feminine that takes the seed provided by the light into the darkness of the womb and creates from that divine spark, it creates life. That's a beautiful thing. But it's the feminine that provides the 99%. And we've been totally imbalanced in our culture, placing all the emphasis on the 1% masculine, that spark that's required. But it must be nurtured by the womb of creation, by the divine feminine, by the goddess, in order for it to bring forth its fruit of peace and prosperity for everyone to share in, for everyone to enjoy. There's been a tremendous imbalance, and the One People's Public Trust provides, as I said, the legal foundation, the lawful foundation to take back our birthright. And when I say it's written in 5D, it's written from the perspective of the divine in all of us. It's written from the perspective of being and then doing, not doing and forgetting about being. It's about remembering who we are, that we are prodigal sons and daughters of the creative spirit of life itself, that most of us, or many of us, call God. And God is just a term. It's not something we need to be afraid of, and it's not something that, if we identify it narrowly, we're not identifying it properly. Because God is all and in all. God is inclusive, not exclusive. God is everything and all things and no thing at all. God is both within the creation and beyond the creation. Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. God is everywhere in all of us. But we forgot. That's how we lost our birthright. That's how we managed to create a world that doesn't work for anyone. A world that's unsustainable. A world that's like cancer, destroying its own host. Yeah, that's the picture that we've been in. And Heather created lawful documents reclaiming our heritage. The debt of the United States of America, we call it here the national debt. All countries, because of the misappropriation of power and the misappropriation of authority, the whole world has its own debt, the global debt. But that debt has been built from the resource of the people. The people are the asset. The people are the creative force manifested on the earth. And we've used that creative force to manifest the world we've been living in. And it's been done because of ignorance, as I said. It's been done because we forgot. We simply forgot who we were. But now we're remembering. Now the energies, the divine feminine is providing the means, the womb, if you will, for us to be born again. And I don't mean that in the fundamentalist evangelical Christian sense. I mean that in a true spiritual sense of coming home and awakening. And it's almost like it's a whole new life because its basis, its foundation is eternal and it's real. It's not no longer the glitter and glitz of the lie, of the deceptions that our religions have handed down to us, that our governments have handed down to us, that our media has handed down to us, that our corporations have handed to us, that all of the systems of control that have been implanted and created in our world for the awakening. Listen to me, it's for the awakening. We had to hit bottom before we could understand what it is to be human. I mean, to be really human. We have been subhuman, less than what we were potentially made to be. We've all been there, folks. It's not about pointing fingers and saying it's them. No, it's us. We've all been there. Whether we played the role of the elite or the role of the chattel that the elite traded and bartered with. We sold our souls to our own ignorance, and they bought them. But the debt that I mentioned a little bit ago, that debt is our inheritance. They owe that to us, and the One People's Public Trust reclaims that inheritance, making each of us a multimillionaire. Or actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're all billionaires. Think of it that way. Think of it that way. Unlimited potential. I mean, billions of dollars. Nobody in their lifetime could spend $1 billion. If you spent $10,000 every day of your what we normally consider a human life, we could not exhaust our inheritance. It is massive. We've created all of these numbers, all of these abstract numbers that have all these zeros after the decimal point. Oh, I mean before the decimal point, but it doesn't matter. It can be after and before, because it's infinitely huge and infinitely small, and it fills everything. It doesn't matter whether it's the microcosm or the macrocosm, because they're the same thing. It's the illusion that we get to play in and play with, and it's changing everything as we awaken, as we remember, as we reconnect within our own being, as we marry the head with the heart, the masculine with the feminine, the light with the dark, the higher self with the ego. Oh, as we come back together again and embrace our wholeness, embracing our shadow as well as our brilliance equally. Nothing left behind, no one forgotten, no one dismissed, no one excluded. Everyone has his or her own ability to choose. Do you want to wake up, or do you want to stay in the morass of the world that we've created and continue with the delusion? It's not an illusion, it's a delusion. We've been deluded to believe that anything could ever be separate from any other thing, or any one could be separate from another one. All we are, each of us, are pieces of the divine, pieces of the Creator, actively co-creating experiences we call life. And it's wonderful. Now, I'm going to shift a little bit to what I almost shifted to entirely for this video. I watched a video before going to bed last night, one of the TED Talks. I'm sure many of you have seen the TED Talks. They are almost always inspiring. And it was called Israel and Iran, a Love Story, and it was told by Ronnie Idri. He is an Israeli citizen who created a campaign, said, Iran, we love you. And it's gone global, and it's gone massive. Millions of people now are sending love letters to each other over the internet. That spy network that was created by our scared to death government leaders that wanted to have a way of knowing everything about everybody so that they could control us. But we've taken it over. The people have taken the internet, and we've turned it into the greatest tool of awakening. And Ronnie Idri, his story is amazing. I literally had tears of joy after watching that video. And yes, I've shared it on Facebook last night, but it's going to be in the blurb for the YouTube subscribers that don't go on Facebook because you're afraid that the government's going to know too much and it's a tool of the CIA or the NSA or whatever. Who cares? I don't. But if you do, that's where you are, and it's okay. You can be where you are. You can have all the fear you want. Or you can liberate yourself and say, I'm just not going to live in fear anymore. So I encourage you to watch that video, and I might be doing another video on just that subject another time. I'm not saying I am, but I might. But the One People's Public Trust is, as I said, the key, or at least one of the keys, to unlocking the unfolding of the Aquarian Age. This is an age that will be golden compared to the Iron Age we're coming out of. The Kali Yuga, we're able to leave that behind. Or I can't remember what the Yuga is called that we're moving into. The Satya Yuga, I think maybe, but I could be wrong. In any case, we're at a beautiful time in a beautiful place. And 2013 is a year of even more rapid unfolding than what we experienced the previous 2 years as we reached the pinnacle of the 9th wave and completed it. Went to the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th wave and then moved into no time on 11-11-11. Folks, hang on. It's going to be an amazing ride as we go forth from here. But be here now. Feel the energies, feel the love. See the light that is enlightening everyone that wants to be enlightened and is willing to let the light in. See that light. It's the light at the end of our long tunnel, our long journey in the far country we've called a fallen planet, Earth. And we're now co-creating together the new Earth. And it's the divine working in us that is accomplishing this creation. Be thankful for God and be thankful for the goddess and for the merging of the two in our human consciousness, because that changes everything. Namaste. Thank you for listening.